Greetings to the learners, listeners, and viewers. This is K.K.A.Alaguappan, working as Associate Professor and Head in the Department of Corporate Secretaryship with Computer Applications and Professional Accounting, Kongu Arts and Science College, Autonomous, Erode. In this session, we will be covering two aspects. The first aspect or the first part will be meaning of cost, costing, cost accounting, and pro forma of cost sheet. And the second part, we will be seeing two cost problems and the method for solving the problems. So what is cost? The amount of expenditure incurred to manufacture a product or render a service is known as cost. If you are manufacturing a product or if you are rendering a service, you have to find out the cost in order to fix the selling price. So, how much amount we are spending to manufacture a particular product is known as cost. ஒரு பொருளை உற்பத்தி செய்வதற்கு எவ்வளவு செலவு செய்கிறோமோ அதை காஸ்ட்னு சொல்லுவோம். Next, what do you mean by costing? The technique and process of ascertaining cost. The way in which we are ascertaining the cost. What technique we are using. What is the process we are using? What are the steps we are using to find out the cost is known as costing. The next definition will be cost accounting. What is cost accounting? It is nothing but a classifying, grouping, recording, and appropriate allocation of expenditure. We are allocating the expenditure under different heads. Why we are doing so? To determine the cost of the product or services. To find out the cost of the product or services, we are classifying the cost, we are recording the cost, and we are making suitable allocation or appropriate allocation of all the expenditure. We are doing all these things to find out the cost of the product or services. Then what we are going to do after finding the cost of the product or services, what we are going to do? We are going to make a presentation to the management. So this is cost accounting. In a simple words, the cost, what is cost? It is the total amount of expenditure incurred to manufacture a product is known as cost. So that is the first part, the definition, cost, costing, and cost accounting. And now we shall see the format of cost sheet. Right. So this is the format which we all should know to prepare the cost sheet. If you want to prepare the cost sheet, you should know the pro forma or the format. What is the format? See. In the beginning, opening stock of raw material, and then we have to add purchase or carriage inwards. We are adding and putting it in the inner column. We are deducting the closing stock of raw material, by which what we are getting? We are getting cost of raw material consumed or otherwise known as direct material. So opening stock of raw material, adding purchases, less closing stock of raw material, you will be getting some amount. It is known as cost of raw material, or otherwise it is called as direct material. And then we have to add the direct labor, direct expenses. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses put together is known as prime cost. So if you are adding direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses, it is known as prime cost. If your problem starts with the direct material, you can start the problem from here. If your problem starts with purchase of raw material or opening stock of raw material, then you have to start the problem from the beginning. If in your problem, if the opening stock of raw material is given, then you have to start the problem from here. In your problem, if it starts with direct material, you can start the problem from here. So direct material, labor, expenses put together is known as prime cost. And then we can classify into three categories to find out the cost of the product. The first part will be, we will be manufacturing in a factory. So all the factory expenses we have to take into account. The second thing is administration, and the third one is selling. Here I have mentioned factory overheads. What is overheads? All indirect expenses put together is known as overheads. Then what do you mean by factory overheads? What are all the expenses that we have made in the factory is known as factory overheads. ஒரு தொழிற்சாலையில என்னெல்லாம் செலவு பண்றோமோ அது அத்தனையும் ஃபேக்டரி ஓவர்ஹெட்ஸ்க்கு கீழே கொண்டு வந்துடணும். Or otherwise it is known as works overheads. So first part factory overheads, and then next administration overheads you have to add. Then third one you have to add the selling and distribution. Again I am repeating, first we have to add factory overheads, and then administration overheads, and then selling and distribution overheads. So in a simple problem you will be having only few items. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, all these items will be given. If you add all these things you will be getting prime cost. After that you have to add the factory cost, and then administration cost, and then selling and distribution overheads. Then what are all things in between that? You can see here work in progress. Already we have seen the raw material in the beginning of the format. Here we are seeing the raw material. Here for better understanding I will tell you, in the initial stage it is raw material. At the end it is called finished products. If it is in between then it is known as work in progress. So first we have to take into account of raw material. Second, it is in the state of work in progress, and the final stage will be finished goods. Here one thing you should keep it in your mind, all the opening should be added and all the closing should be deducted. All the opening should be added and all the closing should be deducted. See, opening stock of raw material we are adding purchase, we are deducting closing stock. See the sequence. The first is raw material, second is work in progress, third is finished stock. Here comes work in progress. The opening stock of work in progress is added here. What we are doing with the closing stock of work in progress? We are deducting. If it is opening, add. If it is closing, deduct. And raw material, work in progress, and then finished goods. See here. So opening stock of finished goods is added here. Closing stock of finished goods is deducted here. Right. Now we shall see the entire format, the sequence, before which you have to keep it in mind. There are three parts. What are those three parts? Factory, administration, and then selling and distribution. These are the three parts, major parts. You have to keep it in mind. In between that, what you have to keep it in your mind is raw material, work in progress, and what is the final thing? It is finished goods. Now see the sequence. I will be coming from the beginning. Now it will be easier for you to understand the things. So in the initial it is raw material. So opening stock of raw material, and we are adding purchases and carriage inwards, that is freight inwards. And we are deducting the closing stock of raw material. We are getting the value which is known as cost of raw material consumed, or otherwise known as direct material. And then we are adding direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. If you add all these things, you will be getting prime cost. Right. Next thing is factory overheads. I said, what are all the expenses that are made in the factory should be identified, and all the expenses should be put in the inner column. Add and get the total and put it in the outer column. Previously, you have found out prime cost. From the prime cost, you add the factory overheads. You will be getting gross works cost. We are adding factory overheads, or otherwise known as works overheads. After adding all these things, you will be getting gross works cost. And then opening work in progress should be added, and closing work in progress should be deducted. If you do so, what you will be getting, it is called net works cost. So if in a problem, first we are adding the factory overheads and getting the gross works cost. After that, we are adding opening work in progress and deducting closing work in progress. You are getting net works cost. So I said first part is factory overheads, second one is administration overheads. Here you have to add all the administration overheads. What is administration overheads? What are all the expenses that has been made in the office or which is related to administration should be brought in here. So this is known as administration overheads. You put all the administration overheads and get the total. If you add the administration overheads, you will get cost of production. And then you have to add the opening stock of finished goods and then deduct the closing stock of finished goods. You will be getting cost of goods sold. And then selling and distribution expenses. This is connected with the selling and distribution of the product. Say, for example, salesman salary, advertisement. These items will appear under the head selling and distribution overheads. Sales manager salary, godown rent. These are some of the examples for selling and distribution overheads. So you add all the selling and distribution overheads and put it in the outer column. Previously, you have found out cost of goods sold. Add to it. You will get the total cost. In the problem, they will be asking to find out the total cost of the product. If this was the question, then this is the answer for that question. In some of the problems, they will be giving the sales value and they might be asking you to find out the profit. If sales value is given in the problem, then what you have to do is you have already found out the total cost. Sales is given in the problem. Find out the difference between the sales and cost. You will be getting the profit. So that is the answer. Right. Now we shall work out two problems. Right. Here is the problem. Left side I have given the problem. Prepare cost sheet from the following information. So they have given direct material, direct labor, direct expense, factory expenses, administrative expenses, selling expenses, sales. It is a very simple problem which I have took. You might not be finding a lot of entries here. It is a very simple problem to understand. We will start with this problem. In the second problem, we might be going somewhat in depth. Right. So I have shown you the format. In the format, in the pro forma, it starts with the opening stock of raw material. If it is given in the problem, you have to start from there. If it is not given, see, I will show you again. If opening stock of raw material, from here you have to start the problem if it is given. If it is not given and if the direct material is given, you can start the problem from here. This is what I told you earlier. Now see the problem. It starts with the direct material. So you have to remember the pro forma. Direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. All these three, if you add, you will get the prime cost. So we shall take here. It is the direct material. So direct material, how much it is given? It is given as 30,000. So direct material, 30,000. And then next one is direct labor. So how much direct labor? It is given 15,000. And then direct expenses. How much it is given? It is given as 10,000. Right. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. If you add all these three, you will be getting prime cost. You have to add 30, 15, 45 plus 10, 55,000. Right. And then what next? You have to add the factory overheads. Here, only one item has been given as factory expenses. So, factory expenses. Here, if it is in the problem, there are number of factory expenses given, then you have to add all the factory expenses and you have to put it in the outer column. So in this problem, they have given only one. The factory expenses is 6,000. So if you add the factory expenses, you will be getting gross works cost. After that, you have to add the work in progress. Opening work in progress should be added and the closing work in progress should be deducted, which was given in the pro forma. If you don't find in the problem, then you can skip it. So gross works cost and net works cost both means one and the same. So here we shall mention it as factory or works cost. Factory cost, or otherwise known as, you can put it also as works cost. Factory cost or works cost, anything. So you have to add, already you have got 55,000 as prime cost. Factory expenses is 6,000. So 61,000 will be the factory cost or works cost. Right. And then what is next? We have added the factory expenses. Next, we have to add the administration expenses. So we are adding the administration expenses. How much it is given? It is given as 9,000. So we are adding administration overheads 9,000. If you add the administration overheads, you will be getting cost of production. How much? 61,000, 9,000. So you will be getting 70,000. And then we have added the administration expenses. After which, if you find the opening stock of finished goods and closing stock of finished goods, you have to add accordingly and you have to deduct it. In this problem, it was not given. So we can omit it. This is cost of production. And then next thing is selling expenses. Selling expenses. How much it is given? It is given as 5,000. So here it is 5,000. If you add, you will be getting 75,000. Right. So selling expenses 5,000. You are adding it 75,000. What is it known as? It is known as total cost. So total cost is 75,000. See the question. Prepare cost sheet from the following information. We have prepared the cost sheet. Sales is given. So what you have to do is, you have to find out the profit. Yes, sir. All right. Sales is given. So sales. How much sales is given? It is given as 1 lakh. Sales is given as 1 lakh. So total cost we have found out is 75,000. What is the difference? 1 lakh minus 75,000, you will be getting 25,000, which is known as profit. So this is profit. So this is a very simple problem, right? We shall move on to the another problem. So here is another problem. See, from following information has been obtained from the records of a manufacturing company. 1/1/2021, 31/12/2021. 1/1/2021 is the opening. 31/12/2021 is the closing. So the 40,000 is the opening stock of raw material. What is 50,000? This is closing stock of raw material. Similarly, finished goods and work in progress. Then the informations are given. What is required? See, prepare a statement of cost and profit showing cost of raw material consumed, prime cost, total manufacturing cost, factory manufacturing cost, cost of production, cost of goods sold, cost of sales, and profit. So these are all the things which are required and we should prepare. Before going into the problem, I will remind you, there are three heads within which we have to classify. One is factory overheads. Second is administration overheads. Third one is selling and distribution overheads. I will read out the problem and I will tell you where it will appear. Right. I will make a mark also. So we have to classify under three heads: factory, administration, selling and distribution. First, let me find out what are all the factory expenses. These opening stock, finished stock, raw material, work in progress. All the opening should be added and all the closing should be deducted. That we will be working out in the problem. First, we shall identify the expenses where it will appear. So indirect labor, they should appear in under factory overheads. I will make a mark in blue. Lubricants, it is a factory overheads. How I am identifying whether it is a factory, administration, or selling? You just apply the common sense and find out. You read out the expenses and you relate where it will appear, where it has been spent. If it is spent in the factory, it is known as factory overheads. If it is spent in the office, then it is known as office overheads. If the expense is meant for selling and distribution, then it will come under selling and distribution overheads. First, we shall take up what are all the expenses which will come under factory overheads. Indirect labor, factory overheads. Lubricants, some kind of oils which we will be using in the factory. So it is factory overheads. Then insurance of plant, where we will be having the plant in the factory. So factory overheads. Purchase of raw material, in the beginning itself we have to consider. Sales commission, it won't come under factory overheads. So leave it now. Salaries of salesmen, it won't appear here. Administration, it won't appear here. Carriage outward. Power, where we will be using the power, we will be using the power in the factory. So I will make a mark, factory overheads. So direct labor, in the beginning of the cost, it should appear. Depreciation of the machinery, where we will be keeping the machinery in the factory. So it should come under factory overheads. It is given as a factory rent. So it should appear under factory overheads. Property tax on factory building. So property tax on factory building. So it should appear under factory. So in the blue marked are all factory. Okay. It is factory overheads. Yeah, we should mention it. Then the next thing is administration. I told you about the administration. We shall mark it in the green. So administration, see, these are all the marked things. Purchase of raw material should come in the beginning. Sales, salary, administration expense, it is given. So here, administration expenses. Carriage outward, this is the freight outwards. It should appear under selling and distribution. Direct labor in the initial. So sales here, it won't appear. So in administration, we are having only one, right? So administration overheads. Let us mark it as A, right? Then selling and distribution. Right. See, here we have marked it. Purchase of raw material beginning. Sales commission. It will appear under selling and distribution. Salaries of salesmen. Selling and distribution. Carriage outward. Selling and distribution. Then what else? That's all. So this is selling and distribution. So it is marked as yes. Right. So hope you might have understood where the items we are going to post it. Right. Now we shall move on to the problem. All right, let us keep it here. So if we go back and zoom it, then the color will get erased. So you keep it in memory because when I zoom it, the color, you cannot see the colors here. So if I do so, it will not be visible for you. So again, factory overheads, indirect labor, lubricants, insurance of plant, and then power, depreciation on machinery, factory rent, property tax on factory building. Administration overheads, we are having only one, that is called administration expenses. And selling, we are having sales commission, salaries of salesmen, carriage outward. These are all the selling expenses, right? So we shall move back. Right. So here I can zoom it. If I zoom it, the color will go. That's why. Right. See, we have to start the problem with opening stock of raw material. So opening stock, hope it is visible. Opening stock of raw material. Stock of raw material in the beginning, it is given as 40,000. So we have to start with opening stock of raw material. Opening stock of raw material. How much it is given? It is given as 40,000. Opening stock of raw material 40,000. And then we have to add purchases. Do you have purchases in our problem? You can see here. Purchase of raw material 4 lakhs. So you have to add purchase of raw material. Purchase of raw material. RM. How much the amount is given? I am showing in the hand symbol 4 lakhs it is given. So 4 lakhs. Purchase of raw material 4 lakhs. And you add these two. There is no carriage inward. So opening stock of raw material, add purchase, you will be getting 4,40,000. 4,40,000. Then you have to deduct less closing stock of raw material. CL stock of raw material. Closing RM closing stock of raw material. See here it is a stock of raw material. I will show you the amount. The first line, stock of raw material. Opening it is what? Stock of raw material. Opening it is 40,000 and closing it is given as 50,000. Okay. So closing stock of raw material is 50,000. So it is 4,40,000 less closing stock of raw material 50,000. If you deduct it, you will be getting 3,90,000. So 3,90,000. Right. What is it known as? Cost of raw material consumed or otherwise known as direct material. So cost of raw material consumed or otherwise known as direct material. Right. So direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. If you add it, you will get prime cost. So you have to see in the problem. Already we have seen the problem. Do you find any direct labor or direct expenses? See the problem. So here I have given it. So we have direct labor here. Here direct labor 3 lakhs. So direct labor. It is given as 3 lakhs. There is no direct expenses. You don't bother about it. If it is given, you can add it direct material, direct labor, direct expenses. If you add all these three, you will be getting prime cost. If it is not given, then this will become the prime cost. So what is the amount? If you add it, it is 6,90,000. So 6,90,000. This is known as prime cost. Then what we have to add? We have to add factory overheads. Factory overheads. O/H. Factory overheads. Right. Under factory overheads, you have to add all the factory expenses. Here I have already marked and shown you what are all the factory overheads. So indirect labor, it is a factory overheads. So we shall type one by one here. Indirect labor. Indirect labor, how much it is given? It is given as 50,000. 50,000. You add all the factory overheads and you get the total and put it in the outer column. So indirect labor, here we have marked 50,000. Then lubricants. So it should also appear under factory overheads. Indirect labor and then lubricants. It is given as 10 lubricants here. See the amount 10,000. So 10,000. And then insurance of plant. This is also a factory expense. Insurance of plant. How much it is given? 3,000. Insurance of plant. Here it is 3,000. So 3,000. Right. Purchase of raw material already we have calculated. We have taken into account. Sales commission, it will not appear here. Salaries of salesmen, it will not appear here. Administration expense, it will not appear here. Then see this side. Carriage outward, it won't appear here. Then power, it will appear here in the factory overheads. So power. How much power the amount? See the amount 30,000 it is given. So power 30,000. Direct labor already we have computed. Depreciation of machinery, it will appear here. So depreciation of machinery. Depreciation of machinery. How much it is given? It is given as 50,000. So depreciation of machinery 50,000. Right. Factory rent, it will appear here. So factory rent. How much it is given? Factory rent, see, 60,000. Factory rent 60,000. Then property tax, it will also appear here. Property tax. Tax on factory building. Property tax on factory building. How much it is given? Property tax 11,000. So it is 11,000. Right, that's all. $11,000. Right. These are all the factory overheads. You have to make an underline factory overheads. So these factory overheads, we have written down all the factory overheads. You have to add all the factory overheads and you have to put it in the outer column. Now we shall add it. So see here, it is 50,000. 50,000 and then 10,000, 3,000. So plus 10,000 plus 3,000 plus, see here, 30,000, 50,000. We can put it as 80,000 here. 80,000. And then 60,000, 11,000, 71,000. How much you are getting? You are getting 2,14,000. So this is the total of factory overheads. So 2,14,000. So we shall put it here. 2,14,000. Two lakh 14,000. 2,14,000. Right. So already we have got prime cost 6,90,000. Again, we have to add. See, what is the prime cost? 6,90,000. Factory overheads 2,14,000. You have to add these two. So 6,90,000, and then you have to add all the factory overheads 2,14,000. So 2,14,000. How much you are getting? 9,04,000. So this is the total here. 9,04,000. So we have added the factory overheads. This is known as gross works cost. Gross works cost. Right. What we have to do next? We have to add the opening stock of work in progress and closing stock of work in progress. See, stock of work in progress. What is the opening stock? 10,000 it is given. So we have to add here opening stock of work in progress. Opening stock of work in progress. WIP. Shortly we can do it. Write it as WIP, work in progress. It is given as 10,000. So here 10,000. You add it and put it here. 9,04,000, 10,000. So 9,14,000. We have added the opening work in progress. Then what we have to do? We have to deduct the closing work in progress. How much it is given? Here it is 10,000 opening. Closing is 14,000. So less. Here we are adding. So add opening stock of work in progress. Here less closing stock of work in progress. How much it is given? Here it is 14,000. So 14,000. So if you deduct from 9,14,000, you will be getting 9 lakhs. What is it called? It is called net works cost. Net works cost. Right. What we have to do next? We have to add all the administration overheads. Add administration overheads. Administration overheads. What are all the administration overheads given in the problem? You have to add it one by one. I think we have already read out the problem. There is only one administration overheads. It is here. Administration overheads, it is given as 1 lakh. So it is only one. So you can straight away put it in the outer column. So administration overheads 1 lakh. So if you add 9 lakhs plus 1 lakh, 10 lakhs. So this is cost of production. Cost of production. Right. After that, what we have to do? We have to add the opening stock of finished goods and we have to deduct the closing stock of finished goods. So add opening stock of finished goods. Let me put it as FG, finished goods. See the problem? Here, stock of finished goods. You come here, opening stock of finished goods, it is given as 1 lakh. So here, 1 lakh. So you add it, 11 lakhs. Then less closing stock of finished goods. Stock of finished goods, FG. See, opening stock of finished goods, opening is 1 lakh. Already we have taken into account. Now the closing is 1,50,000. So here 1,50,000. 1,50,000. So you deduct it. So 11 lakh from 11 lakhs, you deduct 1,50,000. So 9,50,000 you will be getting. 9,50,000. What is it called? Opening stock. If you add opening stock of finished goods and deduct closing stock of finished goods, you will be getting cost of goods sold. Cost of, right. And we are in the last part. After that, we have to add selling and distribution overheads. Add selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution overheads. You have to find out all the selling and distribution overheads and you have to put it one by one. Already we have gone through the problem. See it. See. Indirect labor, lubricants, insurance. These are all we have taken into account. Sales commission. This is selling and distribution. How much it is? 60,000. So sales commission. Sales commission. 60,000. If there is more than one item, you can put it in the inner column. If there is only one item, you can straight away put it in the outer column. Sales commission 60,000. Right. Next is salaries of salesman 1 lakh. Salaries of salesman 1 lakh. Salaries of salesman 1 lakh. And then administration expense we have taken into account. And see this side, carriage outward. So it is selling and distribution expense, carriage outward. How much it is given? Carriage outward 20,000. Right. Power we have put it in the factory overheads, direct labor, depreciation, factory rent, property tax. Everything we have taken into account. So you have to add these three. 60,000, 1 lakh, 20,000. So 1 lakh 60,000, here 20,000. So the total will be 1 lakh 80,000. 1 lakh 80,000. So you have to add it from the cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is 9,50,000. Here, the selling and distribution overheads. You can make underline selling and distribution overheads it is 1,80,000. So you add it 9 plus 1, 10 lakh 50, 80,000. So you will be getting 11 lakhs 30,000. So this is total cost. Sales is given in the problem as 12 lakhs. So you have to find out the profit. So sales, how much it is given? It is given as 12 lakhs. So you have to find out the difference. The sales is 12 lakhs, total cost is 11 lakh 30,000. If you find out the difference will be 70,000, which is known as profit. So we have finished the problem. Hope you have understood the problem. So this is how we are working. We are preparing the cost sheet, right? We shall see some of the things which should be excluded from the cost sheet. Now you are familiar with preparing the cost sheet. If some of the items is given in the problem which are not relevant to the manufacturing aspects, then you have to omit all those expenses. What are those expenses that should be excluded from the cost sheet? Dividend. It is no way connected with the manufacturing. The dividend will be declared by the company when it earns a profit, huge profit. It doesn't connect with the manufacturing activity. So here you should keep it in mind one thing. Only the manufacturing related expenses should be taken into account for preparing the cost sheet. Apart from manufacturing expenses, no expenses should be included in the cost sheet. One of the item is dividend. Second one, income tax. Transfer from one fund to another fund. Trade and cash discount will not appear in the cost sheet. Goodwill, it won't appear. Discount on shares written off. These are all the items which will not appear in the cost sheet. Then if it is given in the problem, what we have to do? We have to make a note. At the end of the problem, we have to solve the problem and we have to find out the profit. At the end, you write a note. What are all the things given? Say, for example, dividend and transfer is given in the problem. You have to write dividend and transfer are excluded from the cost sheet. You have to give a note. That's all. So what will be the outcome of this session? So this will benefit the undergraduate students pursuing corporate secretaryship, professional accounting, commerce and its related program. It will benefit the students who are all the learners. And for the listeners and for the viewers, they might be acquiring some knowledge to prepare the cost sheet. They will be in a position to prepare the cost sheet. So you can find out the cost for any product by using this proforma. Learning is not a destination. It is a journey. Happy journey.